Welcome to episode 17 of the Two and Tie podcast. Yo, what is up, everybody? Welcome to episode 17 of the Two and Tie podcast. I'm Sats, your host. Joining me today, again, is my co-host, Poonam.
Hi there.
So today we're actually going to talk about what I would call a trending topic. It's a very, very popular topic in terms of, I'm going to say the wave of the future and how digital's going. So let's get right into it. So one of the things that that's become a very, very hot topic is whether or not to cut the cord. So that is what today's topic is about. It's about cutting the cord. It's about looking at some of the alternatives and just overall sort of outweighing the benefits. So I'm going to give you my story, our story. So about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago almost, we were flipping through channels and we were going through our set-top box, and we had the works in terms of the package. I think we had like 200 or 300 channels, of which I probably watched only about 10 or 15, and my wife maybe watched another handful. But anyways, it was nice to have that beautiful guide that was up there, and you're able to sort of see what's on TV, what's coming on TV, and program your life around things. So that was really, really neat. Now, the problem being is that when it came time to renewing my contract, and I'm sure a vast majority of you can attest to this, miraculously, our costs went up significantly. And the cable companies were unwilling to negotiate. They were unwilling to honor what they had said they were going to do. And overall, basically, I went from paying almost $65 a month here in Toronto for, probably about 200-300 channels to almost close to $110 a month. And that was not inclusive of internet or home phone. It was just cable. And I was initially on a two-year contract, and it was time to renew the contract. And I said, okay, $65. I understand you can't, match that. That's fine. But, be a little bit reasonable. Maybe I'll pay $75 or $80, but certainly not $110. So that's kind of where my rage kind of went against the cable companies out there. And, I did look at alternatives, but ultimately speaking, when it just came down to the pros and cons, I did some other research in terms of other people cutting the cord. And we decided to go into that. So, Poonam, I know you loved watching TV, and you had access to that. Like I said, that beautiful guide, and back when we were in the condo, there, TV was kind of it's kind of a zen for both of us because we were just able to sit down and not worry about the world and just watch whatever we wanted. Came into the house, had the TV for a couple of months. When I told you, guess what? I think we're gonna cut the cable for good. What'd you think?
Well, I was freaking out, actually. I mean, you're making it seem like I'm this, couch potato, and I'm really not. I do watch some TV, but like Sats had mentioned, it was just a handful of, these couple of channels that I would watch these, sort of shows that I really enjoyed. So when I knew that those channels weren't necessarily going to be accessible anymore, yeah, I was freaking out. Just in the sense of, it's kind of nice after a long day's work just to sit on the couch, have a glass of wine, and just wind down, right? So you watch these mindless shows, and now these mindless shows may not be accessible to you. So you kind of think to yourself, okay, so what am I going to do with my time? Because when I get home, that's what I was just used to doing. So yeah, I guess I was kind of thinking that it was going to be really lonely and boring. I remember telling you that I was really looking forward to just learning how to stream off of my computer and just stream the shows that I used to watch because I wasn't sure if I'd be able to watch them on TV.
Yeah. So let me tell you what happened when I first said, okay, you know what? I'm going to cut the cord. Here's what happened. I actually had a dream. It was kind of a nightmare. What had happened was I was actually watching a TV show, and I was really into the show. And this is in my dream. I was really into the show. And at this point in my dream, we'd already cut the cord. We got an antenna, and we were, kind of moving forward from there. So I was watching this show. Antennas provide beautiful HD quality, so I was watching it in HD. And it was coming to the climax of the actual movie. What happened was in my dream, just at the climax, the cable crapped out or the antenna crapped out. Essentially, I got scrambled picture and I woke up sweating because I don't have cable anymore, or fathoming the idea that I don't have cable anymore. So I actually did go through some sleepless nights when we actually decided to do it, and I said this time I'm gonna do it. I did go through some sleepless nights, and they were kind of scary. But really, I went online and I sort of researched what are some of the other alternatives out there. I went to a couple of good forums out there, and got some good advice. Actually, I posted on some forums as well, and ultimately speaking, when I actually went back and reevaluated what I wanted to watch, not Boona can attest to what she wanted to watch, but what I wanted to watch, I was really into things like sports. I was really into things like HGTV and the DIY network, and some local news. That's really all I cared about, and that's really what my life centers around. And you have your good shows every now and then that come on that you want to watch as well. But you'll get that through your regular, if you put up an antenna. So the alternatives were as follows, or here's what my configuration is. I was able to get all of the local news and the local channels that I liked through putting up an antenna. So I went on Amazon and I purchased an 8-bay antenna that is omnidirectional. So essentially, instead of mounting it on my roof, because it was a really big antenna, it looked really ugly, I opted to mount it in my attic. And I know that was going to sacrifice a bit of quality, but I was okay with that. And we put that up in our attic. And here in Ontario, more specifically just north of Toronto, I was able to get about 30 channels clearly, which is not too bad for an antenna. And I would say those 30 channels probably provided me about 25% of my viewing requirements. Now, the other thing that I did is I got a Netflix account and a Hulu account. And some people may wonder, well, how do you get Hulu to work in Toronto? Well, there's ways. It's called DNS masking, but you can look up those services. They are they're free, not free. Sorry, they're legal as far as I know, and there's really no issue in using them. But I also do a lot of traveling in the States, so it warrants for me to have it because I sometimes want to dial back into some of my Toronto shows. So I'm able to change my DNS on my iPad and whatnot. But I then set up a Hulu account and a Netflix account, and that gave me the other 25% of my requirements. So now I'm at 50% of my requirements in terms of the shows that I like watching. And then the balance of the 50 actually came from something called XBMC, or today that's called Kodi, Kodi. And Kodi, you can get it in various formats. You can buy it on an Android box. You can set it up on a Raspberry Pi. You can put it on your computer. What Kodi essentially is, it's a separate program that allows you to stream shows. So you can search for different shows and you can stream them. And sometimes those shows are up an hour or two after they've actually aired on TV. So very cool in that standpoint. And I'm actually able to search what I want to watch. And I don't have to, flip through channels or wait and do all that kind of crazy business. I can actually set up things like, if Suits is going to come on, I can schedule it to come on. If, back in the day, when Breaking Bad was on, I was able to schedule Breaking Bad shows so that they can either record to my PVR or they would notify me when they're going to come. So there's a whole bunch of different cool things you can do with XBMC and Kodi. And that really bridged the gap. So today, my digital requirements in life are absolutely complete. But, now the important question is to ask Boonam. Based on what we've got today, would you say your life is complete or is there still something missing?
So definitely complete. First of all, when you had told me we were going to cut the cord, of course, I'm looking at this from a financial perspective and how it would be great because we wouldn't be getting, $110 charges. So a part of me was kind of conflicted because I liked that idea, but I didn't like the idea of not having any channels. Now, in hindsight, now that I know that you were able to be that sort of tech savvy person, which I should have known right from the get-go, that you were going to hook us up with all these, the Hulu, the Netflix, as well as XBMC, now known as Kodi. It's to be honest with you guys, it's almost like as though I have cable. I don't feel like I've lost out on any shows. There is the few odd times when I'm having conversations with my siblings that they're talking about a show, and unfortunately I still have to wait the hour or two before the show comes on. So I just tell them to kind of hush it, and we'll talk tomorrow once I'm done watching the show. But the fact that I can still watch the show the same day that it aired on cable is really phenomenal, because I can still have that conversation the next morning. Yeah, and I don't feel like I've lost out on anything, to be quite honest with you. I think having those other sort of additions to our, and already existing 30 local channels was, it's amazing. It was like I never really lost out on anything.
Yeah, and when you're streaming on XBMC or Kodi, it's actually in HD. Now, the other really cool thing that really threw it over the top for me and made me never want to go back to cable is when you watch things on XBMC or Kodi, guess what? It's commercial free. So when they actually put it up, there's there's a program that is able to detect when a commercial starts and ends, and it actually cuts it out for you. So anything that you watch on XBMC or Kodi, at least anything that I've watched, is commercial free. So when I'm looking at a 30-minute show, I can get through it in 22 minutes. And yes, I may have to wait a bit because I don't have no commercials. So, that's kind of, it's not for everybody, I'll put it that way, because you do require a little bit of technical expertise to set some of these things up. Not the Netflix and the Hulu and the antenna. I mean, the antenna, maybe there's more of a sort of a, you got to know how to get up in an attic and mount this stuff and then run wires down ducts or run wires down walls. That took me a good day to do, but it was so worth it. But when it comes to the XBMC Kodi side, and for those of you guys that don't know, tools and home automation and home stuff is a passion for me. Technology is an equal passion for me. And when you merge the two, it's just bliss for me. So with XBMC and Kodi, you really have to have a little bit of patience with it, because it's not something that it's not something you turn on and you can just start flipping around like you would with a cable box. You actually have to search things around and add the right plugins to your XBMC. But once you get everything set up, it's actually really nice. It's a really nice setup overall. So now let's get into some of the financials. So in our house, the way that I've got things set up is I've got an antenna, which costed me about $100. I'll put the link up of the antenna that I purchased off of Amazon. I can't say anything negative about this antenna. It is probably one of the best antennas that are out there on the market. And like I said, I won't say anything negative about it. It's 8 directional. It's 8 bay, and it's omnidirectional, so you can actually point it in different directions. And to help you position your antenna, you can actually go to a website called tvfool.com. If you put in your address, it'll actually tell you which direction to point your antenna to maximize the amount of channels that you're going to get. So again, that's tvfool, tvfool.com. And I'll put a link of that in the show notes as well. So that's the antenna side. It was about $100. It was a one-time investment, no recurring investments, 30 channels, absolutely crisp HD. And fortunately, my nightmare has not come true where it's actually crapped out. So, all good on that side. Check marks everywhere. Hulu and Netflix. So I think Netflix is $8.99, Hulu $7.99 a month or thereabouts. Less than $20 for both of them each month. Completely worth it. With, like I said, if you have a DNS service, which can be as inexpensive as $20 to $30 a year, you're able to switch between regions. So you can switch between US Netflix, Canadian Netflix, UK Netflix, you name it. It depends on how many regions the company comes with. So that's a fairly inexpensive cost as well. And the XBMC, I purchased 2 Raspberry Pis. I have one in our bedroom and one downstairs in our family room, the main room. And they were they're $35 each. They're little computers. I'm sure you've heard of them. But I bought the case and the accessory kit. So it was about $50 for each of them. And I put XBMC/Kodi on both of them. And that is basically used as my primary set-top box. The other thing that I did buy is an HD Home Run, which is a really cool device. And what HD Home Run allows you to do is it allows you to stream your cable or your satellite or your antenna throughout your house. So picture this. Let's say you've got a guest room and you want to put up a TV in there and you want them to have access to some cable. or some antenna channels or whatever it is, but there's no cable outlet that's in the room, or the cable outlet is on the other side of the room and it would look awkward for you to run a wire across. If you have an HD home run and you have some kind of a receiving device like a smart TV or a set-top box like a Raspberry Pi, and you actually attach it to the Raspberry Pi, you can actually use that as a set-top box, and you can have your HD home run actually run directly to the Raspberry Pi, and that could kind of be your set-top box. So you can actually control all your antenna or cable channels using the HD home run as your back end, and your Raspberry Pi is your front end, or whatever device that you decide that you want to choose to go with. So, I mean, overall, it's been a fairly big savings for us. And from a cost standpoint, the HD home run, there's different versions of it you can get. They run anywhere between $100 to I think $150 or so. And they're actually working on some cool technology right now where they've actually developed a really cool EPG, basically a guide. And on top of that, they're also working on a DVR service. Now I'm not totally sure if there's a cost or what the cost would be for the DVR service. I think they're still working those details out, but it'd be pretty cool to have that DVR. So we ditched our cable bill, which was, like I said, over just around $100, a little bit over per month. So that's a savings of at least $1,200 a year. In our investment going in with the HD home run, and the antenna was maybe about $250. And we've got Hulu and Netflix, which are less than $20 per month. So big savings overall. A lot happier because now we can watch what we want to watch, and that's more important than watching what the cable guys want us to watch. And like I said, when we're going through the guide, we were maybe interested in maybe 4 or 5 channels at the most that we watch consistently, and then there's the odd channel that you just kind of watch because there's nothing else to watch. With this arrangement, you can put things in your, I'm not sure what they call it exactly, but you can actually select different shows, and you can subscribe to them using Hulu, or you can do that using Kodi, and it just kind of shows up in your box to say, okay, there's a new episode out there. So really good from that standpoint as well. The other thing that I do want to mention is, because we got rid of cable, I found that our family in general has become a lot more active. So we spend less time on the couch. We spend more time together as a family. We spend more time outdoors, or just doing things around the house. And some people don't actually take that into consideration. And for us, family is a big thing. So that is a big thing for us. And the fact that we became a lot more active, we're in better shape now. So it's interesting to see how there was that relationship, and I'm sure that relationship exists with other people, hence the term couch potato. And if you don't want to be a couch potato, you got to sort of cut out some of the the stuff that you don't really need to watch, and watch what you want to watch. And that time in between that you would have saved by watching stuff you don't want to watch, you spend time with your family. So that's it for this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Until next time, stay safe, stay happy, and stay productive.